Hello friends, now we'll be talking about the next layer, which is a very important layer in network, that is data link layer. Let us discuss what are the points that we are going to cover in this network data link layer, that is framing, error detection and error correction, then error flow control methods in that stop and wait protocol, sliding window protocol, piggybacking, then MAC, the collision oriented and collision based protocols, Aloha, CSMA, CSMA-CD, CSMA-CA and HDLC. These are the protocols we are going to see it in this data link layer. Then what will be the chapter outcomes? So at the end of this chapter, you'll be able to understand the importance of data link layer in OSI model, as well as you'll be able to detect and correct the errors in few cases, as well as you'll be able to understand what are the different protocols at data link layer. So what are the responsibilities of data link layer? So data link layer is providing the services to physical layer and network layer. So at the first outset, the basic functions of the data link layer or the responsibilities of data link layer is framing, error control, flow control and media access control. Framing, in a sense, you will be dividing the whole data stream into a small packets or a small bit of stream, that is called as a frame, which consists a header and a trailer. So header consists the addresses of sender and receiver. Then the next important point is error control. So data link layer also adds the reliability to the physical layer by adding some mechanism to detect the errors and retransmit the damaged or duplicate frames. Then the flow control is very important. If the receiver speed and the sender speed doesn't match, then in that case this data link layer will be responsible for flow control of the information. Then the topologies like bus topology or ring topology, where the media access is very important, so that control is also taken care by this data link layer. Now how actually the information takes place, or how actually the information passes from data link to data link or from network layer to network layer. So we can see that there are two types of connection. First one is a virtual connection, which is model based, and actual connection, which is actually the connection is taking place. So you can say that, so whenever at data link layer, whenever the information is passed from network layer from host 1, it will be sent in the form of packet, and that packet to that header and trailer will be added, and that forms a frame. So virtually it will go to the layer 2, and that header and trailer will be removed, and the packet will be passed to network 2. Actually this is the virtual connection, but in actual the information is passed from network layer to this data link layer, where the frames are formed, and these frames are again converted into ones and zeros, and this ones and zeros information is formed in the format of electrical signal, and this electrical signal or the wireless signals, these are passed to the transmission media. Then at receiving end, again the electrical signals are converted into digital format, and again it is converted into frames. The heads and trailers are removed, and the packet is again given to the network layer. So this is how the equation takes place. This is how the data communication takes place. So here, as I said, the packet is formed. So this is the payload for the data link layer, to which header and trailer will be added, and at receiving end this payload will be removed by removing this header and trailer. So this is the receiving mechanism. Then the services that are offered to the network layer are in the two formats. First one is the acknowledged format, and second one is unacknowledged format. So unacknowledgement, where the connectionless services are offered, and acknowledgement where the connection oriented as well as connectionless services are also considered. So through this it is trying to send the information. Now the most important part is most important task of data link layer is framing. So framing is nothing but a small packet of information of bits which is distinguishable from each other will be added as a form of in the form of frame. So our postal system is the best example of this one. So you can see that if you insert a letter in an envelope and that separate a piece of information from other envelope, so this envelope serves as a delimiter. So every frame is a separate frame, every frame is having a different information where the information added to this piece of information, that added information is the source address and destination address. So what is the purpose of frame, why the frame is needed, and why it should be sent in the form of small frames? So the first function of the framing is it avoids the difficulty in flow and error control, and it avoids the retransmission of entire message. Let us explain how exactly it happens. So if your frame is small, then in that case flow and error control is very easy. And let us consider that there is a message of 5 pages. There is a message of 5 pages, and if you separate the 5 pages and put it into envelope and you send it, then suppose all the messages are received at the end, then all the 5 pages are received and the whole message will be intact received at the receiving end. So instead of that, if you put a whole message, that is a whole 5 pages in a single envelope itself, and that envelope gets misplaced during the posting operation or process, then what happens? The entire message get lost. So in such case you need to resend the message once again. So that can be avoided with the help of small pages. So single page with a single envelope, when you send it and a single envelope will be misplaced, then in that case only you have to send a small message. So bandwidth requirement will be again get controlled because of such kind of cases, and this will help you to retransmit, avoid retransmission of entire message. So there are two types of framing are possible. First one is the fixed size framing, and second one is the variable size framing. Fixed size framing, where you need not require boundaries, because the boundaries are fixed. That means suppose 10 bytes you are sending as a frame, then 10 bytes itself is a fixed size frame. So after 10th, 11th will be the next frame, then next 10th are considered as a next frame, again the next frame or the next byte is considered as a start of the next frame. So the size is fixed, hence the boundaries are not required. But if the size is variable, size of payload is variable, then in that case you will be requiring the start of the frame and end of the frame. Then there are certain cases in which you can avoid the problems of certain characteristics that get added to this one. So that can be avoided with the help of character oriented protocol and bit oriented protocol. Let us try to understand what does it mean. Now if you consider this is a variable type of variable number of characters that are added, then to that header is added and trailer is added. Now if this size is variable, then in that case it may be a 2 byte, 3 byte, 4 byte, 6 byte, depending on what kind of information you are using. So this size may vary. To that you will be adding the header, and to that you will be adding a trailer. Header consists the sender and receiving information, and trailer consists the control information, and to that you need to add the flag at the start of the information and at the end of the information. So these flags will help you to separate out the one frame from other frame. So the first flag will tell you this is the start of the frame, and the last flag will tell you this is the end of the frame. Okay, now this is what the frame structure in case of variable size frame. Now let us consider that whatever may be the flag information is there, this flag information is the information present in this characteristics. This flag information is present in this characteristics. So whatever may be the characters are there that are defined as a flag, and the same information is available in the this characteristics or the data from the upper layer. Now what will happen? So let us consider that the first flag will be considered the stat of the flag, and whenever the such flag will appear as a data, is it the receiver going to understand that is it the end of the frame? Actually it is not the end of the frame. End of the frame is here, but the same data is appeared inside the data, so you need to segregate it, you need to separate it. For that purpose there are two types of stuffing is possible. First one is called as a character stuffing, and second one is called as a bit stuffing. Now let us understand what do you mean by character stuffing. So flag information is there, header is added, and this flag information is the part of data. Now when this flag will come, this should not be understood as the end of flag. So instead of that, that should not be understood as the end of the flag or end of the frame. So for that purpose, one character called as a escape, that is get added, one byte information gets added to this data. Before that data, when escape is there added to this one, the receiver will come to know that okay, the information next to this escape is not an end of the frame, but it is a data. So similarly, the character like escape may appear in a data. So before that one also one escape will be added. So this is called as a byte stuffing. So you will be adding one 8-bit information before the flag and before the escape information. So this is called as a character stuffing, and at receiving end you will be receiving this data. So this extra information will be removed. This is called as a unstuffing, and after unstuffing you will be getting your original data back. So this is called as a byte stuffing and unstuffing of the, or it is also called as a character stuffing. Then byte stuffing is the process of adding one extra byte whenever there is a flag or escape character in the text. So this text is nothing but a data. Okay, now in bit oriented protocol what happens, let us see. In bit oriented protocol, here you can see that the flag consists 1 0, 6 consecutive ones and 1 0. So it is a 8-bit information with 2 zeros and 6 consecutive ones. So similarly end flag also consists the same one, 0 0 and 6 ones. Now if the same information appears in between, now instead of adding 8-bit information, if I add a single bit, then my data bit or my data payload will not vary, because adding 8 bits and adding single bit, so adding single bit is quite easier and my payload will not increase, and my bandwidth requirement will be obviously less as compared to byte stuffing. So for that purpose, whenever there will be a 5 consecutive one appears, after 5 consecutive ones I'll be adding a single zero. Now let us consider that how it actually appears. So this is the data you'll be getting in terms of zeros and ones. So here you can see that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 consecutive ones are coming and 2 zeros are coming. Now after that, when 5 consecutive one comes, because 6 consecutive ones will and after that 0, it will be considered as a flag. But to avoid that, what I did, after 5 consecutive ones I'll add 1 0 to this. That means after 5 consecutive ones I'll add 0. So this will avoid my flag. So flag will not be appeared as it is, and escape character is also having a different type of information. So adding 0 is quite easier than adding escape characters. So so these two zeros are gets added. So only 2 bits are added. In previous case 2 bytes were added. So adding 16 bits and adding 2 bits. So you can see the difference between the two methodologies. So adding 2 bits is very easy. So these 2 bits are added, and at receiving end, whenever the 5 consecutive one comes and after that 0 comes, this 0 is removed and you will get unstuffed data, which is similar to transmitted data. So this is called as a bit stuffing. So this is how you can form a framing system, and you can form a frames by adding characters and by adding bits to the system by variable type of framing system. So with that, we stop here about framing. We'll discuss the next error control and flow control in the next lecture. Thank you.